Hey, Colin.
What's up, Detroit? How are you?
Oh, we're doing
And I,
good. What up, though?
Oh
Detroit is in the
man,
building.
well,
Now,
Detroit is here too, man. I was born in Detroit.
I'm loving every second of this. You just keep getting cooler by the moment. RJ, let's get
Just don't
into it.
get mad. I'm a Laker fan, but I do like the Pistons on my East Coast team. But I'm from Detroit. I was born there, and I moved to
Okay,
San Diego, California when I was a kid.
look, if I'm a homer, my Pistons, we're gonna need all the help we can get.
Oh, I hear you, man. I feel you, man. But hey, I got love in Detroit. I got family there, so.
Hey, it's football season. I'm a Lions fan. I'm just getting ready for that.
All right, well, fingers crossed, man. I'm a Charger fan, and we're
Oh,
terrible.
come
So,
on.
anyway,
Well, all six
all
of
right.
you, all
Focus.
six
We're here
Charger
for a
fans.
serial killer movie. What am I doing? Talking sports. I'm just kidding.
Oh, we'll
Uh,
get into that in a second. But before
well,
we
I know.
jump into this podcast, we got to do it like we always do it. I don't know if they warned you. I don't know if they told you. But at every start of every podcast, we show love to our guests because we're just grateful that you share some time with us. And we do this thing called the over the top intro. Is that okay? If we butter your bread a little bit for the start?
Let's do it. Well, yeah, yeah.
All right. My next guest is a producer, director, actor, and from his start to right now, he has the knowledge of filmmaking experience in over 40 films, television productions, and as a producer, he's directed over so many music videos, commercials, and everything under the sun. He is known for his work such as American Sicario, The Boneyard, and the classic That Championship Season. And what we're here to talk about today, Crescent City in theaters and on demand starting the 16th of August, 2024. RJ Collins, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Detroit?
I got to give you a shout out for that. That championship season, mainly because you was a young actor, but you don't know this until right now. That we had to watch that for eighth grade basketball practice
Wow.
as a like thing what not to do. So it was
Oh
like
my.
you guys, it was championship season, hoop dreams. It was a lot
Oh
of
my
basketball movies at that time
gosh.
just to get our like camaraderie and teamwork. And that championship season was like of what not to do for
Oh man. You know, let's bring up so many memories. That's crazy because that I played the young Gary Sinise, but I was like a 1 day player. It was essentially like a feature background. But I got to meet him that day. But that movie, being on set that day, watching Paul Sorvino direct it and watch, the cast and Gary, I was like, I want to do what they're doing. I swear, this is like that was one of the last things I did on camera ever. And it was because of Gary Sinise. I watched him and I was just blown away. And I liked the director and producers, and I got fascinated by it. And that's what turned me into a filmmaker. Was
well,
that movie, which is crazy that you're saying that. It's weird. It's really weird.
that's just the connection we got, I guess, man. But let's talk about behind the camera. I got a chance to watch Crescent City, and I am going to word my questions very carefully, not to spoil this project.
Thank
But
you.
for starters, how did this idea come about?
Yeah, so the writer, Rich Ronett, we've been working together for 10 plus years. Funny enough, we were on another movie shoot up in actually Ukraine, Kiev at the time in 2019. And he was doing research on all these serial killers. We started talking about it, and it was fascinating and disturbing and everything else. And we're like, dude, we got to make this into a movie. Rich wrote the script. It was amazing. It brought a lot of past memories and phobias of mannequins as a kid for me, because one of the serial killers that he did research on would like place them all around his house and lure his victims in and then seduce them and kill them. And so it really kind of generated a lot of great story ideas for a movie. And so that's how it all came together. And I'll tell you, Rich he's a phenomenal writer, and he even wrote the movie not knowing which character he was going to pick in the end to be the killer, which is why it portrays that way in the film too, which really worked. Because the whole movie, we just don't know who the killer really is. We purposely set it up to make you think this person's for sure the killer. And then it turns left and it turns right. Then it comes back around and then it's full circle. So, it's great. It keeps us guessing all the way through, which is why I think it really works, and it hooks your audience in to watch it from the beginning to the end.
Well, that actually leads into my next question because this movie has so many twists and turns, and it puts the viewer in this constant state of intensity, where that was my next question. It was like, did you know who was the killer, or is it just kind of like, because it legitimately could have been anybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's no gender to decide on. You just don't know anything, right? You think you know, but then you don't. So we keep it like that. Yeah, and look, it's also besides that question is also the battle of good versus evil, which in each character in the film is battling with something, addiction, problems with work, family, everything. So every single person, every single character in the film really has their demons they're dealing with through the movie. So it's really a good versus evil all the way through, which is really cool. I think it worked really well for the characters.
One thing about this film is it switches. Most films don't do this. The moral compass switches. Usually the moral compass is one character, but it almost switches every 20 minutes or so, where it's just sort of like, okay, the reason you're a good guy or bad guy, depending on how you look at it, is because we're comparing you to this character, and we're comparing you to this character, and then we find out that the first character did something totally messed up, where it was just like, whoa, forget everything I just said. So what was that with directing that? So writing it is one thing, but like, how do you pull someone aside? Okay, you're a jerk now. How do you do that?
Well, I'll be honest. So the casting was so great. They're such professionals. They read the script. They knew what they had to bring. We talked about each character. We talked about how I want to portray them. They talked about how they saw their character, and we just collaborated. And they brought it, man. I mean, look, not directing for me is like assembling a really good team around you, and also being the audience and watching all these people work from Alec. I mean, he's amazing, from Terrence to Isai and Nikki and many more actors in the movie that were great. It was just beautiful. And there'd be a few tweaks here and there we would do, but to be honest, the actors brought it, man. It was pretty powerful.
Okay, what was the chemistry like on set? Because you do have some heavyweights in this movie. No one in this cast was a slouch by no stretch of the imagination. People, I think two out of the people you just named got Oscars. I mean, like, there are no slouches.
No, I mean, look, and by the way, there was no ego on our set with that at all, which was phenomenal. Everybody got along great, which you don't always see that happen, right? Like, some people don't talk to each other, some people do. But it was funny, one of the producers pulled me aside. We had a dinner on our, like, after our first week, and all the actors showed up on their day off, which, when you want to tired, you want to see anybody, you wanted to sleep that day and not go out at night with everybody and see them the next day on set. Everybody came to dinner, everyone, the whole cast. So there was a good vibe on set. Everybody got along, and if I could recreate that every time, I would, because it was great.
Okay, and last cast question. This is more of a writer's question, but did you have these people in mind as you were writing this, or did it just kind of happen like a happy accident?
I always think that these things are happy accidents to an extent, right? It's a little bit of luck and connections. Luckily, I'll tell you, the producing team and myself, all of us had relationships personally with some of these actors. And so it really helped the casting process go, because it's really hard to get this cast together during a time at the same time. And because of the SAG strike happening, and we were an independent company making the movie, we were able to kind of negotiate schedules and get everybody to show up at the same time. But yeah, it was my first time ever working with Terrence and Isai and Alec. I worked with Nikki before, and a few of the other actors like Michael Cera I've worked with a bunch of times, and Rocky. There's just a lot of trust with these people. So they believed in the story, and it was, I mean, it was lucky. I'll be honest, it was lucky that we got them all together. But we didn't necessarily plan when we were writing it, the specific actors, but we definitely were targeting Terrence, and we knew Nikki. We wanted Nikki to play Jacqueline, and Alec and Isai were the hidden eggs that came out.
Okay. Now, one thing I love asking, especially about a movie such as this that has so many twists and turns, what was left on the cutting room floor? Mainly because there are some elements, and I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to spoil it, that you could have dug a little bit more deeper into, especially some of their backstories. And I'll leave it like that. So
Yeah.
spoil anything.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting. There were, gosh, I think there were like 3 scenes we had to cut out, just because of timing and pace. And the backs. I mean, look, if like I said, if we would have had more time with this movie and got more coverage, we probably would have had a more of a issue cutting one of the scenes or two. But yeah, there were some moments in there we had to cut an entire scene and then re-edit it to fit differently, but you'll never notice it. But it was hard. It's hard to let go of certain scenes, right? But then you get great notes from the distributor. And by the way, they gave phenomenal notes on the assembly cut. And we agreed with all of them. We were all thinking the same thing. So it was really great that we collaborated with them. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to cut scenes out. I was really stuck on one, but it just, I watched it with it and without it, and it just helped the movie flow better. And it keeps the audience engaged. So that's more important to me.
Okay. Well, we're getting up against it, so I gotta ask. With a movie such as this, what do you want the audience to feel after watching this movie?
I just want, it's kind of one of those movies that just gives you the adrenaline. You kind of get that rush watching it. I like when you get that feeling, but also it kind of makes you think, right? Like as each human being, you constantly have choices in life where you can run that red light or not, right? You can go out with that person or not, or do this and that. You have a choice every day to make a decision. And this is kind of what everyday people deal with. And this is like basically all of our characters in the movie deal with, is that they have temptation, right? And so it's like I said, it's that good versus evil, that battle in your head. Each person has it. And that's what I want the audience to kind of think about once they finish this film, is they enjoy the ride, and everybody has problems, man, and just how you deal with it.
Well, RJ, this has been this flew past. I wish I had more time, but thank you so
Yeah.
much. You're more than welcome to come back whenever you want. This has been great. We'll chop it up, but thank you for your time.
Yeah, and shout out back to my people in Detroit.
Oh
Love you
yeah.
guys.
All right, we'll
Thanks.
holla at you.
See you. Bye.
All right.